love dogs, huh? More than you love your own family?
I do.
You love dogs, you piece of shit!
Imagine a Robin Hood-style vigilante who uses a dog army to steal from the rich and give it to the poor. Quite interesting, right? A dark and suspenseful tale of tragedy, bravery, and perseverance. The film DogMan shines the light on many bitter hard facts of life, particularly regarding human nature. It also conveys a universal truth: dogs are far better creatures than humans. DogMan is not the first film to not have a human as a hero. In fact, we have plenty of examples of animal and insect-based heroes, anti-heroes, and villains, like Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Catwoman, etc. But making a dog the murderous vigilante like the DogMan, this surely is the first such time. The concept is certainly awesome, and on screen it is pretty well executed despite some absurdities here and there. This English crime drama thriller film by French director Luc Besson is almost like the anti-hero origin story with a psychological angle, much like Todd Phillips' Joker. The movie is certainly bleak in every aspect, much like the hit film Logan by James Mangold. According to synopsis of DogMan, DogMan tells the story of a man who, following a traumatic childhood, finds salvation and justice through his connections with dogs. That really sums up the crux of the movie's plot very well, and it is easy to guess too that the story isn't a super happy one. But wait, there's more. The story takes place in the backlanes of New Jersey and focuses on Douglas, his violent and sociopathic father, whose profession is dog fighting, beats him one day during his childhood for giving the dogs food, and as punishment, throws Douglas inside a kennel of hungry and abused fighter dogs. What do you think would happen? These are fighter dogs and hungry, so the most logical conclusion is that they will rip apart a child. Well, you would be right if you thought so, but surprise, this did not happen. In an ironic twist of fate, the dogs become his protectors. This creates in Douglas a great love and fascination for dogs, and they become his only friends during his growing up years. His close kinship with the dogs leads Douglas, or Doug, to be reborn with a new purpose and outlook on life. He transforms into DogMan, a man shaped by his dark past and fascination for dogs in the same way that Batman is defined by his own tragedy and fascination for bats. But that is where the similarity ends. Adopting a Robin Hood-style persona, Douglas's DogMan is no superhero, but rather a vigilante who attacks rich households, especially the rich aristocrats and their guards, with the aid of his dog army, steals their money and give it to the needy. Doug also has no issues in killing humans, and animal lovers need not to worry because none of the dogs were harmed during the film shoot. Now, coming back to the story, Douglas is showing as adoring and loving towards his hounds, whom he refers to as his children. The movie also stresses on the great loyalty of dogs and how humans with their cruel nature are undeserving of such beautiful animals. This is best shown when Doug tells Evelyn his view on dogs and their relationship with humans when he says, "As far as I can tell, they only have one flaw: they trust humans." This is a very hard-hitting line because in more ways than one, it's a bitter truth. DogMan is by no means perfect, but its philosophical undertones hit hard. Douglas's life is shown to be beset by tragedy after tragedy. A spinal injury forces him to wear leg braces for the rest of his life. He suffers a great heartache after finding out that his drama teacher, whom he loved, is already married. He goes through great difficulties in finding employment, even for the most menial of jobs, which increases his feeling of humiliation at being a disabled person. All these contribute to his social isolation, his feeling of bitterness, and a strong dislike for fellow humans. The only thing that goes well for him is theater, or more specifically, his acting as a drag queen in a bar. He acts as the late French singer Edith Piaf singing La Foule, dressed up in a glamorous Marilyn Monroe getup. As a drag queen, Doug dons several looks, some of which include wearing a blonde wig complemented with thick mascara, a lot of bright red lipstick, and wearing a lot of glittering jewelry in his ears and around his neck. The music and overall tone gives the whole drag act a weirdly creepy feel. However, there is no sexual angle to this drag act whatsoever. It only adds the flamboyance of Doug's persona. So do yourself a favor and don't overanalyze it for some additional meaning. But if it weren't for a lead actor Caleb Landry Jones' beautiful performance, DogMan would have found itself in a kennel with no takers. It's always a gamble for a film to ride on the shoulders for one actor's performance, and for director Benson, it was a similar scenario, and fortunately, it paid off. It's much like how Joaquin Phoenix single-handedly carried the Joker on his shoulders, and how Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford before him pretty much characterized Blade Runner. Which movies do you think were defined by the performance of a single actor? The movie starts off well and has a consistent flow. It shows a wheelchair-bound Douglas being interviewed by criminal psychiatrist Evelyn Jojo T. Gibbs, who narrates his story through a bunch of flashbacks. While the first half is very consistent and adds to the film's strength, it begins to meander in the second half with the whole cartel angle being introduced. It is fun to watch the gangsters being torn apart by the special dog force, but after some time, this can also prove to be a drag. It is almost as if the movie was trying to be both Psycho and Breaking Bad simultaneously. This overly ambitious approach didn't fully pan out. Apart from Jones, Gibbs' performance as the empathetic and attentive criminal psychiatrist Evelyn is good. Actor Clement Schick's performance as Doug's sociopathic father, Mike Monroe, was a really solid one. Have you seen DogMan? And what did you think about it? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And for some more exciting content, hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Also, if you'd like to help us more, then please support us on Patreon. See you next time.